Have you ever looked at a woman and thought, she's not just beautiful, she's elegant? There's something in the way she moves, the way she speaks, the calm in her presence. It's not about expensive clothes or perfect makeup. It's about something deeper, something that can't be bought. In today's video, we're going to talk about what really defines an elegant woman. Because let's be honest, anyone can look pretty for a moment, but true elegance, that's something you live. That's something you choose day after day. And here's the truth. Even the most stunning, graceful woman in the room might not be truly elegant if she's missing these 10 essential traits. These aren't rules written in stone. They're quiet truths that shape the way you treat others, how you carry yourself, and how you see your own worth. And the best part, elegance has nothing to do with age. In fact, many women don't fully step into their elegant power until later in life, when they finally stop chasing trends, stop apologizing, and start living with intention. So if you've ever felt invisible, or like something about your presence just isn't landing the way it used to, this video is for you. Because once you understand these 10 traits, you'll realize that elegance isn't about changing who you are. It's about uncovering the strength, dignity, and quiet confidence that's been there all along. Ready to begin? Let's get into it. Let's begin with something that sets the tone for everything else. Elegant women are not desperate. Not for men, not for approval, not even for friendship. This might sound obvious, but when you take a closer look, you'll see how often women, especially kind, generous women, stretch themselves thin just to be liked, needed, or noticed. We've all done it. Maybe it was accepting a last-minute dinner date that didn't feel right. Maybe it was staying in a one-sided friendship just to avoid feeling lonely. Or maybe it was tolerating disrespect because we were taught to keep the peace. But elegance doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't chase. It doesn't cling. A truly elegant woman understands her worth so deeply, she's never tempted to lower her standards just to feel loved. She sets boundaries with grace, not anger. She knows when to walk away without guilt. And more importantly, she knows that the right people, real friends, healthy relationships, will never make her feel like she has to prove her value. Elegance isn't loud, but it's firm. It says, I welcome connection, but I don't need it to feel whole. And that energy, it's magnetic. It draws the right people in and keeps the wrong ones out, without drama, without resentment, and without a single raised voice. When a woman stops chasing, she starts attracting. Not just lovers, but respect, peace, self-trust. And that's what makes this the first and perhaps most powerful trait of a truly elegant woman. Because without self-worth, everything else crumbles. And once you claim that sense of quiet strength, the rest of the journey becomes much more natural. Now let's take a look at the second sign of real elegance, something that has nothing to do with appearance and everything to do with how you treat others. Shall we? Now that we've centered ourselves in self-worth, let's turn to how an elegant woman treats those around her. She leads with respect, not because she's trying to impress anyone, not because she's following a list of rules, but because it's simply who she is. For an elegant woman, respect isn't something you give only to people in power or those who deserve it. It's a way of being. It's in the way she listens without interrupting. It's in the way she makes eye contact, even with the waitress or the delivery man. It's in the way she says please and thank you, not out of habit, but from a place of genuine appreciation. Some people think etiquette is just about forks and fancy dinners, but in truth, etiquette is simply kindness in motion. It's a language of grace. And it says more about who you are than any designer label ever could. You see, class isn't about money. It's about how you carry yourself when no one's watching. It's about the patience you show when someone is slow, the compassion you extend when someone's having a hard day, and yes, even the self-control you practice when you're tempted to snap or judge. There's strength in gentleness, and the most elegant women in the world know this deeply. They've learned that kindness is not weakness. It's power wrapped in velvet. When you treat others with dignity, regardless of their status or background, you elevate yourself without saying a word. That's why respect is not just a value, it's a signature, a quiet signature that says, I know who I am, and I honor who you are. And from that place, elegance becomes not just a style, but a legacy. Coming up next, we'll explore a trait that can unravel all elegance in a heartbeat, unless you know how to rise above it. Let's take a deeper look at drama, and why a truly elegant woman refuses to be part of it. Now let's talk about something that can quietly chip away at even the most graceful presence. Drama. Elegant women don't create it, don't chase it, and certainly don't live in it. That doesn't mean they don't face challenges. Of course they do. Life has its storms, but elegance shows in how a woman moves through those storms. She doesn't shout to be heard. She doesn't gossip just to feel included. And she never makes herself the center of chaos just to feel important. In a world where so many people are addicted to conflict, a woman who chooses calm becomes unforgettable. She picks her battles wisely. She knows not every opinion needs to be shared. Not every insult needs a reaction, and not every problem needs to be solved with noise. When others try to pull her into their drama, whether it's family tension, workplace conflict, or passive-aggressive games, she doesn't take the bait. She steps back, she breathes, she responds, not reacts. Because deep down she knows that protecting her peace is more powerful than proving a point. It's not that she doesn't feel emotion, it's that she refuses to let emotion drive her behavior. There's a certain poise in that kind of self-mastery, and make no mistake, people notice it. They may not always understand it, but they feel it. They feel safer around her, calmer in her presence. Because when you don't stir the waters, you become the stillness others long for. That's what makes an elegant woman so magnetic. Not her perfection, but her peace. And in a world spinning with noise, that kind of presence is rare and radiant. Now let's uncover a more hidden emotional trap, one that often disguises itself as harmless comparison, but can quietly corrode self-worth if left unchecked. Let's talk about jealousy, and how an elegant woman transforms it into something beautiful. Let's be honest. Jealousy is something we've all felt at one point or another. It can sneak in quietly, when someone else gets the recognition we've worked for, when a friend's life looks more polished than ours, when we feel stuck and someone else seems to be soaring. But here's what separates an elegant woman from the rest. She doesn't let jealousy take root. She sees it for what it really is, a mirror showing her where she still longs to grow. You see, elegant women don't deny their emotions. They feel them. They pause. They ask, why am I feeling this way? And instead of turning that discomfort into bitterness or gossip, they use it as fuel. They turn envy into inspiration. They say, if she can do it, maybe I can too. That's the quiet power of elegance. It doesn't compete. It learns. It celebrates. It grows. An elegant woman doesn't diminish another woman's success to feel taller. She doesn't whisper insults behind a smiling face. She doesn't question how someone really got that opportunity, because she knows that tearing others down doesn't lift her up. Instead, she surrounds herself with women who shine and lets their light reflect on her. She believes there's enough room for everyone to bloom, and when she feels that familiar sting of comparison, she doesn't shame herself for it. She simply redirects her focus, back to her own journey, back to her own goals, back to her own worth, because that's the truth most people forget. Jealousy is rarely about the other person. It's a signal from within. And when you're willing to listen, it can become a beautiful turning point. Next, we'll explore another topic that's often misunderstood, especially by those who equate elegance with wealth. Let's talk about luxury, refinement, and why elegant women enjoy the finer things without ever letting them define who they are. Now let's talk about something that's often misunderstood. Elegant women enjoy the finer things in life. Yes, they love beauty, quality, refinement. They may light candles that smell like heaven, wear silk that floats like air, or sip tea from a delicate porcelain cup. But here's the truth. Those things don't define her. They don't own her. For a woman of real elegance, luxury is a preference, not a purpose. She isn't driven by materialism. She doesn't chase labels to feel worthy. She doesn't need expensive things to feel like someone, because she already knows who she is, with or without the pearls. Elegance at its core is about intention. It's about choosing beauty not to impress others, but to nourish your spirit. It's setting the table with care, even if no one else is coming. It's wearing something lovely, even on the quietest days. It's making your environment feel like peace, not because it's perfect, but because it's yours. When you see a woman who enjoys elegance, you'll notice something. She never flaunts it. She doesn't brag. She doesn't seek approval through her possessions. In fact, her favorite things are often the ones with stories. The scarf from a trip she'll never forget. The chair she restored with her own hands. The bracelet passed down from her mother's jewelry box. Because to her, refinement is not about how much something costs. It's about how much it means. And that's why she's never a slave to trends or status. She chooses with discernment. She keeps what speaks to her soul. And she lets the rest go without apology. That kind of relationship with beauty, free from obsession, rooted in self-worth, is what makes a woman truly elegant. Coming up next, we'll explore one of the most visible signs of refinement, and one that has the power to transform every relationship in your life. Let's talk about communication and how an elegant woman speaks with clarity, care, and calm. Clear, graceful communication is one of the most powerful signs of a truly elegant woman. Because how we speak, how we listen, reveals so much more than we think. An elegant woman doesn't raise her voice to make a point. She doesn't use harsh words just to win an argument. She doesn't rely on gossip, sarcasm, or cutting remarks to feel clever. Instead, she speaks with intention. She chooses her words carefully, not to impress, but to connect. She understands that silence can be stronger than shouting, that tone matters as much as message, that how something is said can either build trust or quietly tear it down. Elegant communication isn't about sounding fancy or polished. It's about being honest without being harsh. It's about being clear without being cold. It's about being able to express your needs, set a boundary, or share a feeling without making others feel small. But this kind of communication doesn't just happen. It's a skill, a lifelong one. Elegant women work at it. They pause before they speak. They listen without interrupting. They seek to understand before they respond. And when they do respond, it's with care. Because they know that words have weight. And once spoken, they cannot be taken back. In a world full of noise, where shouting seems to drown out wisdom, a woman who speaks softly but with strength stands out. Her presence doesn't need volume. Her words don't need decoration. They simply land, with clarity, with purpose, with grace. This kind of communication doesn't just shape how others see you. It changes how you see yourself. You begin to feel more grounded, more understood, more at peace. And slowly, your entire environment begins to shift. Coming up next, we'll explore a surprising truth about elegance that many people overlook, how it actually celebrates who you truly are. There's a common misconception that elegance means becoming someone else. As if to be refined, you must let go of your uniqueness, your quirks, your true self. But in reality, the opposite is true. Elegant women don't erase who they are. They reveal it more fully, more intentionally, and more beautifully than ever before. Because elegance isn't a costume you wear. It's a deepening of who you already are, a shedding of what no longer serves you, a return to your essence, just elevated. An elegant woman embraces her individuality with quiet pride. She doesn't try to copy others or chase trends to stay relevant. She's not afraid of standing out or standing alone. Because she understands that real elegance doesn't come from sameness. It comes from authenticity. She knows that her sense of humor, her quiet strength, her love for vintage books or gardening or jazz, all of these things are part of what make her captivating. And she lets them shine. She curates her life, not to fit into someone else's mold, but to reflect her own spirit. This is why elegant women are so magnetic. They don't just follow elegance as an aesthetic. They live it as a personal truth. They evolve, yes, but they never betray themselves in the process. In fact, every step of their refinement feels like a homecoming. They begin to speak more like themselves, dress more like themselves, choose relationships, activities, even goals that feel aligned, not imposed. And when you see a woman who is both polished and deeply herself, you feel it. She doesn't need to prove anything. She's simply grounded, real, radiant. Because the most elegant thing a woman can ever be is fully, unapologetically her. Once a woman becomes truly elegant, something begins to shift, not just in how she sees herself, but in how she sees others. She no longer feels the need to compare, to compete, or to look down on anyone. Because a woman of grace understands this simple truth. We're all walking different paths, and none of them are more right than the other. An elegant woman doesn't measure someone's worth by their clothes, their income, or their social circle. She doesn't roll her eyes at someone who lives modestly or think less of someone who hasn't leveled up in the same way she has, because she remembers where she came from. She knows she wasn't born elegant, she became elegant, through choices, through growth, through mistakes and awakenings and time. And that journey gives her perspective. It gives her humility. So when she meets someone who's different, whether they're loud or shy, polished or plain, ambitious or content, she doesn't judge. She listens. She respects. She honors their right to be exactly who they are. Because real elegance is never about superiority. It's about presence. It's about warmth. It's about holding space for others without needing to mold them. And it's about knowing that beauty exists in many forms, even the ones that don't look like yours. The world doesn't need more critics. It needs more women who lift others up with quiet kindness. Women who inspire not through perfection, but through compassion. And that's what makes this quality so vital. Because no matter how refined you are, no matter how stunning your wardrobe or how impeccable your manners, if your heart isn't open, the elegance will always feel hollow. There's something deeply moving about a woman who gives, not for recognition, not for praise, but simply because it's who she is. Elegant women give back. They contribute to the world around them, no matter how big or small their circle might be. But here's the beautiful part. They do it quietly. No spotlight, no announcement. No look at me moments, because for them, giving is not performance, it's principle. It might be donating to a local charity every month. It might be volunteering at a shelter or mentoring a younger woman who's just beginning her journey. It could be something as simple as offering kindness, patience, or time to someone who needs it most. And the amount, the scale, it doesn't matter. Because the heart behind the action is what defines its worth. In a world obsessed with self-promotion, women who give without needing applause are becoming rare, but they are the ones who change lives quietly. They soften the edges of the world with their warmth, and often, no one even knows they did it, except the one person whose life was touched. Elegant women understand that discretion is a form of grace. They don't give to build an image. They give because it feels right, because it's what their spirit naturally moves toward. And in doing so, they leave behind more than a polished impression. They leave behind impact, the kind that lingers, the kind that spreads, the kind that changes things gently and forever. Because real elegance is not just about how you enter a room, it's about what remains after you leave it. True elegance is not skin deep. It begins within, often in places no one else can see. And that's why the final trait of an elegant woman may be the most powerful of all. She works on herself, especially her emotional self. Because let's be honest, life leaves marks. No matter how beautiful your childhood may have been, no matter how composed you look on the outside, we all carry wounds, old stories, deep insecurities, unspoken griefs. And these inner weights, if left untouched, can quietly shape how we speak, how we love, how we react. That's why elegant women don't just sweep things under the rug. They face them, gently, courageously. They go to therapy. They read. They reflect. They forgive. They learn how to express what they feel without blaming others, without exploding, without shutting down. They stop pretending they're fine when they're not. They let themselves grow, even when it's uncomfortable, because they know that healing isn't weakness. It's wisdom. An elegant woman doesn't try to be perfect, but she does try to be aware of her triggers, her patterns, her responsibilities in every relationship, especially the difficult ones. And as she heals, she softens, not in strength, but in presence. She becomes a calmer mother, a more present partner, a more grounded friend, and all those around her begin to feel it. Because when a woman makes peace with herself, she naturally brings peace to others. That, perhaps more than anything else, is the essence of real elegance. It's not a mask. It's not a performance. It's a journey. Quiet, brave, and deeply beautiful. So now that we've explored the 10 quiet truths of elegance, take a moment, breathe, and ask yourself, not with judgment, but with curiosity, which of these traits already live within you? And which ones are still waiting to be nurtured? Because here's something no one tells you enough. Elegance is not something you're born with. It's not a secret code reserved for the rich or the famous. It's not about a perfect wardrobe, flawless skin, or the right accent. It's a practice, a choice, a way of moving through the world with self-respect, compassion, and clarity. It grows with you, and often it deepens as you grow older, because you've lived, you've learned, and you're no longer afraid to show up as your full, authentic self. That's why I believe the most elegant women in the world are not always the youngest or the loudest or the most photographed. They are the ones who carry themselves with quiet dignity, who choose kindness even when it's hard, who let their values, not their ego, lead the way. And if you've ever doubted yourself, if you've ever wondered whether it's too late to become the woman you've always admired, let me gently remind you, you already are her. She's inside of you. Not hidden, just waiting, waiting for the moment you stop trying to be someone else and start becoming more of yourself, with grace, with strength, and with softness. So keep going. Keep refining, keep shedding what no longer feels right, and let your elegance unfold, not for others, but for you. Because when you live from that place of inner alignment, the world will notice. Without a word, without a label, people will feel it. They'll feel you. And that is what makes a woman truly unforgettable.